The people closest to you can see it. Your coworkers can see it. Sometimes a stranger who's known you for about 20 minutes can see it. You can't. Not because you're not smart enough, not because you don't care about self-awareness, because that's not how blind spots work. The pattern is so close to you, so embedded in how you move through every day, that your brain stopped registering it as information a long time ago. That's the real reason people who are genuinely self-aware still end up in the same loop. Not because you're not trying, because the pattern they need to see is the one that they can't. There's a psychological concept called introspection illusion. Research shows that people are significantly worse at understanding the causes of their own behavior than they believe they are. We think we know why we do what we do. We're often wrong. And the higher the stakes, the more confident we are in our inaccurate self-assessment. Tasha Eurich, an organizational psychologist who spent years researching self-awareness, found something that surprises almost everyone. 95% of people believe they're self-aware. Only 10 to 15% actually are by measurable standards. That's not a gap, that's a canyon. And the problem isn't that people are delusional or lazy. The problem is that self-awareness requires seeing yourself from the outside in. And your brain is only ever looking from the inside out. I'm Dr. Amber. I build frameworks that help people see the patterns their habits and assumptions are hiding from them. And the most consistent thing I see across the people I work with isn't a lack of effort. It's a specific kind of blind spot. The pattern they're in is so familiar, it registers as normal. I've seen it in executives, in people who've been in therapy for years, in people who journal every single day. The pattern keeps running because they can't see it from the inside. Here's what makes behavioral patterns so hard to see from the inside. Your brain is an efficiency machine. It runs patterns on autopilot, specifically so you don't have to think about them. Every habit, every default response, every way you automatically handle discomfort or pressure was built to run without conscious input. That's not a flaw, that's the design. But it means the behaviors that most need your attention are the ones running the quietest. The way you respond when someone challenges you, how you handle ambiguity, what you do when something feels too hard, what you avoid so consistently you've stopped noticing you're avoiding it. Those patterns, they don't announce themselves. They just run. And here's the part that makes personal growth genuinely hard for high achievers specifically. You're good at performance. You're good at output. You're good at showing up and delivering. So you've built a very convincing life around the pattern without ever having to slow down and look at it. The pattern isn't costing you in obvious ways. It's costing you in quiet ones. The relationship that keeps having the same argument. The career move you keep almost making. The goal that keeps getting rewritten. The exhaustion that rest just doesn't fix. Patterns hide in 3 specific places. And once you know where to look, self-awareness stops being something you hope happens and starts being something you can actually build. The first place is your reactions. Not the big ones, the automatic ones. That flash of irritation before you've even processed what happened. The urge to fix something before you've even sat with it. The way you go quiet when you feel concerned or loud when you feel uncertain. Your automatic reactions are a map of your patterns. They happen before you've chosen them, which is exactly why they're so useful. The second place is your avoidance. What you consistently don't do is just as informative as what you do. The conversation you keep not having, that boundary you keep not setting, the thing you always find a reason to push back another week. Avoidance is a pattern that looks like circumstances. Something always comes up, but something always coming up is the pattern. But here's the one that's the hardest to see. The third place is your story. The explanation you give yourself for why things are the way they are. I'm just wired that way. This is how I've always been. People like me don't do that. The story feels like clarity. It's actually the pattern protecting itself. Because as long as that story holds, nothing has to change. Self-awareness isn't an insight, it's a practice. And it works best when it's structured. Journaling without prompts, it keeps you in the same loop. You write what your brain already knows how to say. Friends see you clearly, but usually they won't say it. And self-help content gives you frameworks for someone else's pattern, not yours. What actually moves the needle is structured self-reflection. Prompts that ask you to name specific things, not just general feelings. Questions that point you toward your reactions, your avoidance, and your story, instead of letting you stay on that surface level. Because the goal of self-awareness isn't to feel more enlightened. It's to see the pattern clearly enough that you can actually do something about it. Awareness is the first step of personal growth. Not the whole thing, just the first step. And without it, all the frameworks in the world are just more motion in the same direction. That's exactly why I built Clarity Refined. It's not a journaling book. It's a structured reflection process that walks you through 5 specific lenses so you can see what your automatic responses, your avoidance, and your story have been hiding from you. Because personal development, it doesn't start with fixing things. It starts with seeing them. And you can't see what your brain has already decided is normal. Clarity Refined, I'll link that below in the description. Tell me in the comments, what's one pattern someone close to you has pointed out that you didn't fully see until they said it? If this gave you something real, like this video and subscribe. I put out frameworks like this every week for people who are done working hard inside a loop they can't fully see. And as always, reflect deeply, grow boldly, refine endlessly. See you in the next one.